Have you ever wondered why some customer success professionals consistently hit their renewal goals while others are struggling even when they're working twice as hard? Or why two people can have the same exact book of business but wildly different revenue outcomes? Well, here is the secret that almost no one teaches. It's not luck and it's not personality. It's knowing which revenue lever to pull and when. And in 2026, if you are not mastering these three levers, you are leaving money, trust, and career progression on the table. And today I'm going to be walking you through the exact revenue levers that every CS pro needs to master if they want to become a revenue generating expert. So let us get into it. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Anika Zubair, and welcome to the Customer Success Pro podcast, your go-to space for real talk, expert advice, and actionable insights in the world of customer success. I'm a CS executive leader, award-winning strategist, CS coach, and customer success fanatic. I help CSMs and CS leaders build the skills and the confidence to become revenue-driving pros and scale world-class CS teams. So whether you're brand new to CS or a seasoned leader, this podcast is here to support your growth. Because customer success isn't a destination, it's a journey. And I'm here to be your guide and navigate every step of your journey. So join me every Wednesday where you'll get fresh CS tips, tricks, and strategies you can actually use. Some weeks I'll share my own insights and best practices from working in CS over the last 13 years. And once a month, I'll bring on expert guests to dive into the most relevant and pressing topics in customer success today. So if you're ready to level up, hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in, and let's make your CS journey a little bit easier together. In this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the three core revenue levers that drive growth and protect your book of business. We are talking about the levers that separate task doers from true revenue advisors. And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly what to focus on each week so that you are not guessing, not reacting, and not hoping that your customers actually renew, but confidently influencing the outcome of those renewals and upsells. And if you're listening to this episode and thinking, this isn't for me because I don't have revenue ownership, then please continue to listen because you definitely need to be having revenue ownership in customer success in 2026. And if you aren't, then this episode is for you. And if you are, this episode is for you. So if you're new here, I'm Anika, your guide on all things commercial customer success. So make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and follow the show and leave a comment or a review because it really helps this podcast reach more customer success professionals who are ready to level up. And honestly, every single one of your comments and likes and shares of this podcast truly make my day. Quick pause for a podcast because I need to tell you something super important. The next free Rev Up Masterclass is officially coming back in 2026. And if you want to level up your revenue skills this year, you are going to want to move fast. If you're listening right now and thinking, I need to be more commercial this year, but I have no idea where to start, you are exactly who I created this masterclass for. Last year, so many CS pros told me they wanted to influence renewals and lead stronger executive conversations and actually understand how to show value, but they never got the real training on how to do it. Now imagine kicking off 2026 with total clarity. Every call becomes a value-led conversation. Your discovery actually uncovers expansion and you build trust and authority instead of feeling like a friendly task taker. That's the version of you that is exactly what we are going to be building inside of this masterclass. And here's the kicker. It's completely free. The next Rev Up Masterclass is on Wednesday, January 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I only run these a few times a year, and every single one fills up fast. But since you're hanging out with me here on the podcast, you are getting first access. So do not wait, because spots are genuinely limited and are going to fill up. So go grab your seat right now at thecustomersuccesspro.com/masterclass. That's thecustomersuccesspro.com/masterclass, and lock in your front row spot for the first session of the year. All right, let's get back into the episode. All right, here is the problem that I'm seeing. Most customer success professionals are doing the work, but not moving revenue levers. They stay busy, overloaded, and in this reactive mode, but they do not actually know how to shift anything that impacts renewals or expansion. Now, I'm going to say that this is probably due to the fact that most customer success organizations within most companies are very reactive, because unfortunately, customer success has become, or has always been, the everything department, meaning everyone dumps everything on customer success. But in 2026, I want you to be laser focused on revenue, because that's honestly what all of your executives are focused on. And I need you to start to shift away from being those task doers and into those impact drivers, because there are many people who feel stuck in the same cycle quarter after quarter, and it's because you end up being stuck in the task doer bucket. But we need to move the revenue lever, okay? And I really want you to stop doing a few things in order to make sure that you keep moving that revenue lever. Okay, the first thing I want you to stop doing is thinking renewals are a finish line instead of something influenced across the full journey. A lot of us are constantly working towards a renewal. It's almost like we're sprinting to the end of a marathon. And yes, of course, a renewal ends a signal of an end of one chapter and the start of the next. But as you know, a renewal isn't the end. It's not like suddenly you get a renewal and then that's that, and they're going to continue to stay a customer for years to come. And also, just waiting until the very last mile that you're sprinting in that renewal to make sure that it actually happens and you're going to finish it is also poor form and poor etiquette. Like, you need to realize that influence of a renewal and influence of a revenue within the renewal happens weeks, months, quarters before a renewal even happens. It happens along the full customer journey. Now, another thing I need you to stop doing, okay? I need you to stop waiting for customers to raise their hands with needs instead of identifying leverage points early. This is a big reason why customer success is reactive and will continue to be reactive. If you're listening to this and you are actually always only reacting when your customer sends an email or when your health trigger says a customer is unhealthy, you're not actually being strategic and thinking about your book of business as a way to leverage growth. You're only thinking about your book of business as a way to save or protect revenue, which maybe that is your role. Maybe revenue protection and making sure no churn is your role. But the thing is, if you're constantly just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, you might as well just become support. Because waiting and waiting and waiting for a customer to raise their hand with a problem is just going to leave you in that fight or flight mode that isn't going to help you grow accounts and isn't going to help you grow your career either. All right, the next thing I want you to stop doing is treating every customer the same. I've said this in multiple podcasts before, and if you've ever heard me speak on stage or talk to me in person, you know how much I appreciate segmentation. There are tons of podcast episodes that I've talked about segmentation and how you cannot treat every customer the same. I'm sorry to say your loudest customer is probably not your largest customer. And also your largest customer is probably not your loudest customer, or even your smallest customer is probably not the biggest revenue generator for you in the long run. As you know, no one customer is the same. But if you start treating all your customers the same and ignoring the customers that are actually going to be driving revenue for you, or ignoring where revenue risk or potential is actually sitting, you're only hurting yourself because you're only helping the loudest customer. All right, another thing I want you to stop doing is confusing value for activity. Now, I've just done a podcast on this, but I need you to stop thinking that if you attend every meeting and if you respond to every email within 3 minutes and you send up follow-ups to every single call you have and that you share resources after every QBR, okay, I need you to stop thinking that all of that is going to lead to a renewal, because that is, again, just task doing. None of it actually moves the lever if the customer is not progressing towards their outcomes, okay? Just sending them emails, sending them slide decks, building beautiful slide decks and having meetings with them every quarter does not actually mean that they are getting value from your product and service, and does not actually mean they're achieving their outcomes with your value, with your product. But you just focusing on those tasks and not focusing on outcomes is only going to hinder you and hinder your renewals and upsells as well. All right, I've talked about a lot of things that I want you to stop doing. Now, I want you to actually fix all of these things. So how are we going to fix them? Well, I want you to master these 3 revenue levers, okay? There are only 3 revenue levers that matter in customer success. And when you master these, I promise you, everything is going to change. So the first revenue lever is adoption momentum. So this is the leading indicator of every renewal. Your job is to constantly move customers from awareness to usage to habit, okay? A lot of people listening, your product heavily depends on your customers using the product so that they can end up getting the outcome that they're hoping to achieve. So in 2026, the customer success pros who win are the ones who track adoption weekly, not quarterly, and use that data to drive that strategic conversation. So the more your customer is using your product over time, likely the more they are going to get the outcomes that they purchased your product for. So you want to be tracking all of that adoption over time, and you want to be guiding them to next steps. So just because you see them using your product and using product differently week over week, don't just assume that your customer actually knows what to do next. They are looking to you as their guide. So be that guide. Strategically guide the conversation to what's next for them and what matters for them to use in that adoption sequence of your product. All right, revenue lever number 2 is executive alignment. Now, this one we get lost on because we talk to a lot of people in customer success, and a lot of times we get stuck with talking to our champion. But this is the lever that actually changes everything, because decision makers do not renew based on product love. Okay? They do not renew based on how much they've logged in or how much they've actually used your product. They renew based on business value, and specifically their business value, not how much of a roadmap has been developed just for them, not how many new features are rolling out just for them. Nope, 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 no. They only renew based on their business getting value. And you need to build and maintain relationships with your economic buyers and link every success conversation back to outcomes they care about. And let me be super clear with you, okay? Take notes. Pause and rewind at this point of the podcast, but there are only 3 things that your executives actually care about at any company in the world, okay? And the 3 things are revenue growth, okay, risk reduction, and also optimization or some sort of time saving. That is all the executives that you speak to care about. And you need to make sure that your product and service is showing that they are growing revenue within their business, that they are optimizing processes within their businesses and saving time, and that they're reducing risk by using your product as well. And I promise when you build those executive value conversations with the economic buyer, it's going to make all the difference to your renewal and upsell process. All right. The final revenue lever number 3, okay? This is what I call expansion visibility. Expansion, by the way, it's never an accident. It never naturally happens, okay? It's not because we just continue to have great coffee chats with our customers that suddenly they're going to renew and see all this value, okay? When you build strong adoption and maintain executive buy-in, the next step, naturally, by the way, is growth. And this lever is about knowing where expansion is possible and what is stopping it today and what specific actions you can take to influence it over the next 90 days. So when you focus on these 3 levers each week, you stop being the CSM who reacts and you become that advisor who leads customers to success and revenue growth. All right, I want to share something a little bit personal, but I remember back a quarter early in my career where I thought I was crushing it. Okay. I thought I was the top customer success manager because my calendar was packed. I was meeting so many customers. I was doing quarterly business reviews in person. I was running calls, responding almost instantly to every email. Even on my vacations, I was responding. I was being super helpful. Okay. I thought being helpful and being there for my customers would result in me being the top CSM at my company. I thought busy honestly meant effective. And I'm pretty sure if you're listening, you've probably had this happen to you in your career as well. But when all my renewals started to hit, the results told a very different story. Even though I was a go-to CSM for all my customers and all their needs, I had a few delays. I had some customers that end up churning, and I had none that actually expanded. And my chief customer officer actually sat down with me and said something that really changed everything for me. He said, "You are working hard, but you're not working on the revenue levers." And that sentence really did hit me like a ton of bricks and really sat with me throughout my career. And from that point on, I stopped measuring my weeks by how many meetings I had and started measuring on how many levers I moved. Adoption up, executive alignment cleared, expansion blockers removed. That was the momentum that I needed to shift from task doer to revenue driver. So what I want to do is I want to challenge you now, because in every solo episode, I love challenging all of my listeners. And this is your weekly challenge. I want you to pick 5 accounts from your book of business and map them to 3 revenue levers that I mentioned in this podcast. For each one, I want you to ask yourself, are they gaining adoption momentum? Do I have true executive alignment? And do I know the next expansion opportunity and what might be blocking it? Then choose one lever to focus on with each account and take one action this week to influence. Not big, not dramatic, just one lever, one action. Do it this week and do this weekly, and you will see your renewal probability rise fast, and you will suddenly see that there are more upsell or growth opportunities within your book of business. Now, if you want to master these revenue levers at a deeper level and become a customer success pro who confidently drives revenue growth without feeling like a salesperson, then you need to join me inside of RevUp Academy. RevUp is where I teach you the frameworks, the talk tracks, the data model, and the actions that turn you into a revenue generating expert. So you can join the waitlist or apply now at the link in the show notes. Just head over to thecustomersuccesspro.com/RevUp. All right, friends, I am so excited for you to start pulling on those revenue levers. Remember, just pick one and start with one and focus your book of business around revenue levers rather than task doing. And I promise your renewals become easier and you will start to grow and expand accounts naturally. Now, if you did see value in this episode, please take a moment to just share it with your CS bestie. I love that all of us are such a great community. And remember that sharing is caring. And if you did like it, please feel free to follow along because I release a new episode every week on Wednesday. All right, friends, I will catch you in our episode next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Customer Success Pro podcast. I hope you picked up something valuable to take back to your team. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took just 10 seconds to leave a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps more CS pros like yourself discover the show. And creating new episodes takes a lot of work, so leaving a nice review keeps me motivated to keep creating. And don't forget to hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcast episodes. I drop a new episode every Wednesday packed with practical tips. And if you've got a topic you'd love for me to cover or want to be a guest on my show, send me a message. All the details are in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. And hey, if this episode helped you, share it with a fellow CSM or CS leader. Remember, sharing is caring. Cheers to your CS journey, and I'll catch you next week for our next episode.